I've just I've skipped here to now sharing another data set which I made earlier, which is the Pacific Cod assessment we do. This is actually this is a monthly assessment taken in the middle of the month, and this is for longline core US Pacific Cod H&G, J-Cut, FOB, Dutch Harbour, in various sizes. And again, I've preemptively here added on a couple of Lauren's assessments too, for Pacific Cod in the US market for loins and fillets. And you can see a similar dynamic between that we saw with Atlantic. And again, you're going back 6 months here to see, to kind of look at these raw material prices we're seeing now, which are considerably higher than they were 6 months, which has caused this current finished product price. So it's a similar dynamic with Pacific Cod, although not as extreme as Atlantic Cod. And the quota on Pacific Cod will be announced in December, when the management council meet, usually the first week of December. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens with that, because it's much smaller than I say it's much smaller. The way that Atlantic Cod has been reduced, it's not so much of a difference
that gap
now,
has narrowed for sure.
Yeah. So there's that data set. I'll move on to haddock now. I'll change to share this tab. This is again the green data here is the raw material pricing. Oh,
the green's the wholesale.
Yeah, the green's the wholesale pricing. Yeah, sorry, yeah, my bad. Green's the wholesale pricing, and below we've actually got here the two raw material pricing. We've got the Russian haddock assessment we do for H&G, and the Norwegian assessment. I didn't include the Russian assessment on the cod chart because the Russian cod could no longer come to the US, having been processed in China. But for whatever reason, a lot of people say it's the sort of strong Alaska lobby that was behind the Biden executive order. The haddock was not included. So Russian haddock H&G continued to go to China, continued to be processed into finished products and come to the US market. However, that is all going to change, as Laura mentioned, from January the 1st because of the Marine Mammal Protected Act, which I think Russia just didn't respond to the US on. So that product has been blocked. So that's why here you've seen that spike from September to October. These are weekly assessments, but I've changed them to monthly to make the data more digestible. You can see that spike in the blue price there, which is the Norwegian. And again, going back 6 months, there's a considerable increase there in raw material pricing, which is going to ultimately filter through to the US market. And the increase here could be steeper because obviously, there's only, I think, an 18% increase looking from the April level to now on the Norwegian H&G side. But the reason that increase has not been as steep as the cod, where you've seen a 30% increase, is because the fact that the Russian and the Norwegian haddock H&G has stayed much closer because the US market has been open to both. Now, obviously, the Russian haddock is not available to US buyers, via China. So you'd anticipate maybe a wider spread developing on the Norwegian haddock continuing to increase, and the Russian haddock stabilizing, continuing to maybe dropping on the H&G side. The outlook is also for an increase in the Barents Sea haddock quota. So yeah, that's something where some sources were talking about the potential for even a softening in the haddock market generally because of this potential scientific recommendation for an increase. I'm not sure that that's going to happen really on the Norwegian side, particularly because of the fact that they're the only game in town into the US market. And then just to finish things off, I thought I'd quickly just show some of the more upstream pricing we've got, which is we've got cod and haddock auction pricing out of Norway and also Iceland. So here, this is turn it back to NOK. So this is the pricing from Norges Refusslag, which is one of the two major auctions in Norway. The other's called Serafi. So yeah, you can see here, this is the weekly pricing. I can change that to monthly here, so you can get more of a sense of like how, you know, the volume has declined dramatically because of the reduced quotas, and the pricing is, you know, really spiking to record levels. Move that forward here.
That is a dramatic fall in volume.
Yeah, it's a really interesting chart to visualize it with the volume, because obviously we don't have that with the HMG. And then you can also just to quickly show you some of the other capabilities of the platform, you can go here, show variations, and I can look at the in addition to the, you know, charting, you can look at the pricing in table format. You can look at that with a week-on-week comparison. You've got the changes in NOK. You've got the changes in percentage there. You've got the changes in volume, the changes in percentage there. And you can also look at year on year. And then when you look at year on year, you can really see, you know, these, you're talking, 30% plus increases for the main sizes, and there's much lower volumes of 4 to 6 available. But the main sizes are the 1 to 2.5, 2.5 to 4. These are 97% big decreases in volume and big increases in value. And then to switch to the Icelandic data we've got, this is a Icelandic haddock set. We've also got Icelandic cod. We've got gutted and ungutted cod and haddock from Iceland. This is again from auction networks in Iceland. So we're getting volume data as well as value. And again, you can see, price is much more volatile in the auctions, but you can see firm pricing really, which, we're just seeing that really across the board in the whitefish complex due to all of these crazy dynamics which we've covered today.